Switching on the recording. Hello, everyone. So today's demo is supposed to be devoted for the end of the first regression week, which we're supposed to finish today, but actually because of the blocker we stuck with on Monday, and we were fixing this blocker actually during the whole of the week. We didn't have an ability to start the regression, but we will actually demonstrate you today the regression plan, which was composed by Slava, our QA engineer. And after that, we will actually demonstrate how we fix that pretty big issue we stuck with regarding coupling of price indexer and inventory indexer. And one will demonstrate after that the working functionality. So let's start from the beginning, and let's follow the agenda I shared in MSI Slack channel. So now Slava will present you the regression plan and how the regression gonna continue.
Hi everybody. I will share with you our plan for regression, and I need to share my screen first of all. So I created on wiki page a small page dedicated to our MSI regression testing cycle with a simple plan and with all necessary link to heap test, what is our main source of test scenario for testing, and also we have a link to Jira, because first of all we will do manual testing for MSI functionality using heap test scenarios. Also I will show you. At the moment, we have approximately 469 scenario in our heap test MSI database, and we will go from top to bottom, cover all functionality for different type of products, for all orders, shopping carts, search, and etc. Check, and also we approximately 50 scenario have here for web API. They have separate folders, and we will do. We have such a milestone 2 regression cycle. As far as you see, it's yet gray, but afterwards we will see all statistics, how many tests will pass, how many tests will be failed, and all people from community who want to join us here in MSI. I wrote that you may contact me or Igor Minailo or Valera Naida to get access to her tests and to participate in this regression. And for final stage of regression will be testing MSI together with EA version or commercial version and B2B, and tickets with these scenarios for testing, they are located on Jira, and I'm not sure if it who is, maybe Igor, you know how we may give or will we give access to Jira to the people from community?
I don't think so. I believe people from community are pretty okay to work with our heap test, and I don't think that it's really mandatory for people from the community to have an access to Jira.
Okay, then. So EA functionality and B2B functionality will be covering by our own team. And what I meant to say is that we have already 122 MFTF tests written, and it's almost the majority. So far we have tests with severity 0 and severity 1, 133. So most of them already covered with automatical functional MFTF tests. I think that's all from me. Maybe you have any questions? I stop sharing my screen.
Yeah, thank you, Slava. So let me share mine. And I will show you the issue we stuck with, actually the bug we stuck with on Monday, and we were fixing it during this week, and actually that was a blocker for us to start the regression on this week. And actually so the bug for us was created by Alexei Kolesnik, and he found a bug running the MFTF test we already have. So actually the MFTF test found this bug, and afterwards the bug was documented by Alex. And actually initially the bug for us affects a lot of functionality, and it leads to products disappear from category page and search result page. And when we were starting to discover that, we actually have seen that the root cause of the bug was the recent fix, which was forward ported recently to Magento 2.3, which we got with the latest mainline merge. And actually, the main idea of that fix was introducing coupling of price index to inventory index. So the main idea, as you can see, that was an escalation in Magento 2.2. And the main idea was to introduce functionality for composite product, and especially for configurable one, and make the price for composite product to be equal the lowest accessible price of the variation which is in stock. Because before this fix, before this new functionality which was added, as you see in Magento 2.2.6, if I'm not wrong, the price of configurable product was the lowest price of its child, of its children. And actually, it was not. There was no any difference whether this particular child with a minimal price is in stock or out of stock. So it was an escalation which came from one of our merchants, for whom it was pretty critical that the configurable product price was supposed to be equal to lowest price of the variation which is in stock. And that fix was delivered for core, and actually in core it was fixed as a plugin for resource model on a stock item, and actually this plugin leads to additional query. Actually, it leads to reindexation of the price index for particular stock item, particular product. So any change of the legacy stock item leads to reindexation of price for the product which was referred in this stock item. And we started to adopt this fix for MSI, because in MSI it's not so straightforward to apply it, because currently we have sources, we have stock, and we have sales channel. And now there are too many options and too many possibilities how we invalidate index. We can change the source item quantity. For example, when the shipment is created and the source selection algorithm is run, we can disable source, for example, if some problem happen with particular or we can enable it, or we can add additional source to stock. For example, yep.
Quick question. So the issue that, if I understood correctly, the issue that came from mainline is that they started to only choose the price of the minimum price for configurable product. The price was they started to define only as a minimum price of in-stock product, right?
Yep.
And you're not reverting that behavior, right? You're just adopting multi-source inventory behavior for the multi-source inventory for that behavior.
Yeah, we adopted it, and actually, from our side, we did not make any fixes for Magento Core, but we provide their own solution, which is supposed to substitute one from the MSI side. Because, for example, we just disabled the initial plugin created by guys from sustainable engineering, because they are currently pluginizing the resource model of the stock item, which actually doesn't make a lot of sense from MSI perspective, because we need to pluginize the source of truth, and legacy APIs are not the source of truth anymore. So we provided the extension point for, so actually what we did, we pluginized the reindexation of inventory.
So the two questions related. So first, the fix was forward-ported to 2.3, right?
Yep, it's
and they didn't implement it correctly on taking into account MSI.
Yep, that's correct. So actually, we had two options. Because initially we considered just to revert the forward port, but guys did not have time enough to, and also they don't have enough expertise to provide the correct fix for MSI. Taken into account MSI, and taken into account that feature freeze will come pretty soon. So they asked our team for help, and what we did, actually, we adopted their fix for Magento 2.3 with.
Okay, so I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but this issue is a bit more complicated, because there is other escalation from other client who doesn't want to have who wants to have price, because if all simple products are out of stock, with this behavior, the price of configurable is 0 today. So I think it should be configurable.
But, I believe if all the children are out of stock, actually the configurable is supposed to be out of stock as well.
And that's a good question why it's not out of stock there. But we need to dive. Please check the scenario on MSI. They have to check.
Actually, we had a scenario.
Oh, sorry.
So we had this scenario, and Slava can confirm that actually at the time of our previous regression testing, we check whether the parent product change the status if all the children are out of stock. So at least in Magento,
there is also scenario when part of children are out of stock and the other part are disabled. Please check this one.
Good point. Slava, could you please say whether we have this scenario covered in our regression plan? If not, probably we need to do it. So the idea is to have like a current product is not reachable, it's not accessible because some of the children are out of stock and others are just disabled.
Okay, I will check it, and if it's needed, I will add it to scenarios.
Mm-hmm. And so now, what we will do now, we will demonstrate you that this functionality, when configurable product, which has several variation, and the variation with the lowest price, which is out of stock, is accessible on a custom stock, is accessible, and its price equals not the price of the variation with which is out of stock. So Ivan, please feel free to share your screen and make the presentation.
Hi all. Let me share my screen. Okay. Now I'm show fix the bug 1597. Okay, I've created a custom website, and now I will create a configurable product with 3 childs. Sign price white 13 and 0 product 4. Okay. Okay, and assign configurable product to the main website and the custom website. Go to category page on default website and custom website, and we can see that the both that the configurable product is available on both websites. Now let's set out of stock to configurable option with minimal price. Go to category page, and we can see that the price of a configurable product is 20 in default website and custom website. Now go to create source and stock. create custom stock and assign to this stock test website and created source. And after this, we need run reindex, because after save the stock, price index are need reindex required status. Go to configurable childs and assign created source to black and green options. From default, black only on custom. Save and green custom and default. And save green to custom and default. Go to category page on default website configurable have price 20, and in custom website configurable have price 20, and it available on both websites. Go to stock page, custom stock page, and on assign all sales channel from it. And run reindex. Go to category page. In default. Okay.
What are you going to demonstrate, Ivan?
Okay, if I
So what we need to do, we just need to assign all these products, like all the variations, to the newly created source, and assign that source to custom stock, and after that assign the custom stock to the main website, and see that behavior is the same, so the quantity is 20 but not 10.
I've disabled, I'm unassign all sales channel on custom stock, but I see that the price on custom stock is 20.
Yeah, I think it's correct because when you unassign this test website, it's automatically assigned to default stock. So the price what is set for and quantity, if you have some inventory on default source, so default stock, it's must be displayed on custom website.
Correct, because we don't provide the possibility that some sales channel can exist without a stock assigned to it. So when we unassign stock from the sales channel, we automatically, under the hood, reassign it to the default one. This is fallback, which we always do.
This way, we see the same picture on both sides because it's now assigned to default stock.
Okay, that looks like all from my side.
Yes. So, Anton, we have probably another question regarding this functionality which was just presented. I will share my screen now. So what we did in the scope of the implementation, what we did is actually we introduced the dependency of the catalog product price to inventory index. So currently we have this possibility because initially, like before Magento 2.2, we considered that all the indexes should be independent from each other, and it's forbidden to add dependency from one index to another one. And the main reason and the main business reason for that was the scalability of indexes. So we wanted to have an ability to run several indexes simultaneously. But since Magento 2.2, I don't know, precise patch version, we decided to introduce a dependency. For example, it was useful for full text search index, which is currently dependent on several other indexes like EAV, inventory index, etc. But like introducing this dependency, clear dependency, which is mentioned in the index.xml file, what we currently got as a side effect of that, having reindexation on a level of source item, the system makes the status of the price index as invalid. So actually what I expected that the invalidation of the price index is supposed to be done when we have the inventory index as in invalid state. But currently this happens after the partial update for particular source item. And
so I remember when this was discussed, dependency between indexes, I think one of the arguments was that for dependency for indexes is that dependency for indexes is just a question of reusing functionality of indexes, right? And it should not change the behavior. So for example, I might be mistaken, but my expectation for this behavior was that if an inventory is inventory index or source item inventory index is invalidated or product is saved, then partial reindex on-save reindex happen for that item on inventory or in source inventory, on full inventory, and on price. So it's like it triggers. So doesn't it work like that? So from that perspective, I don't see problems.
So currently we are doing it like with our own pluginization, but the system turns the status of price index into invalid, like by default.
After partial reindex for inventory source for source item, right?
Yeah, for source item, exactly.
So I understood. So I don't think we have time to discuss it. Yeah, so it makes sense to have a separate meeting to discuss it. But my understanding is that we should not mark price index as invalid, but just do the re-index, partial re-index for the items.
Exactly. So I just wanted to clarify the expected behavior, because from my perspective, we need to make the price index turn it to the invalid state when the inventory index is in invalid state. For example, like when we decided to reassign stock from one website to another, we just mark the whole inventory index as invalid, and this is supposed to turn the price index invalid as well.
Okay, so my understanding is that we don't have a fundamental issue here. It's just we have to change the behavior of cascaded index or
Yep, that's true. Okay, so we will discover this, and probably we will create an issue for guys from core or sustainable engineering, because this looks like the scope of their backlog. So that's all regarding that this feature presentation. Are there any question from Anton or from Mark's side? I see that Mark joined the meeting.
No, I don't have any other questions. I just wanted to clarify on the prior discussion about what to do when the products of the children of the configurable are out of stock. I just want to confirm it. The correct behavior is that the configurable is out of stock at that time.
Actually, I just want to mention that in our fix, we added a check. So we remove, actually, we check whether the out-of-stock products are available, like if out-of-stock products are available in catalog. So if whether they are shown in catalog, we are not removing the these products from the price index. So we consider that if the products in the out of stock status are able to show on a category page and the search result page, the price of the parent product still would be the lowest one, the lowest out of the variation.
Okay, good.
Okay, so that's all regarding this feature. So I'm stopped sharing my screen. The next one gonna be Nikolai, who will show you the new infrastructure for source and stock item configuration. Koля, feel free to share your screen.
Well, yeah, let me share my screen. So this week I've been working on pull request dedicated to creation of new infrastructure for stock item and source item configurations. So as you can see, it has drastically increased from the last time. And today I will show you how it will look like from the admin UI perspective. It's still work in progress, so feature may be changed and different UI elements maybe behave a little bit different. So currently we have a lot of configurations, so to make it less tedious, let's focus on just two. The two specific configuration values which actually, well, it behaves with a full chain of fallback. So it will be, sorry, it's not here, right? Inventory. It will be managed stock, which is now exists in system configuration, in stock configuration, and stock item configuration. And for instance, yeah, back orders, which exist currently on 3 layers to its system configuration, source configuration, and source item configuration. So let's put it to no by default, and let's put it allow quantity below 0. Okay, saving configuration. Now let's create some source. Let it be source 1. And yeah, for the source one, it will be using the system configuration. Oh, sorry. And let's create another one source. It will be use its own value. Let's say it will be third option. So it's correctly saved. Now let's create stocks. Let's create one stock which will be using system configuration. For managed stock, which is no. And another one which will override this value and will be using its own managed stock. Oh, I forgot to assign actually sources to these stocks. Sorry, let's do this way. Stock one will be using two sources. And the second one will be using just one, the second source. Now, let's create a product. So currently, I haven't discussed this, but I've decided to initially to disable advanced inventory button, because we have no stocks assigned to this product, or this product not assigned to any stocks, so there is no configuration for it. But as soon as we add from this product like our sources, our advanced inventory button become active, and here we have a drop down with the stocks. So in current implementation, we can save just one stock like simultaneously. So in order to save all configuration for different stocks, we need to resave product, but it will change in the future. So yeah, let's take a look at our configuration. So here we have two sources, and we can see that the product, initially it's using the config, the default config, and on the first one source, we can see the value fallback to the source, and we may change it. And the second one is fallback right to our system configuration. Same with stocks. So we can see that all use config settings are checked, and the fallback is for the first stock is go through the system configuration, and for the second one is for the stock. So we may change it. So now actually our product, well, let's do another way. Like we have in this our system configuration like manage stock to null. On the stock one also null, but for instance we want for this particular product it be measured, it's manageable by stock, so it will override all the of course. It will override all the system and stock configuration. And for this product, the stock will be manageable. As we can see, everything saved correctly. So yeah, I believe that's all from my side.
Can you please open the advanced inventory one more time? So this is actually pretty interesting stuff, and we do not have an ability to discuss with Mark that, and we had to apply the solution like as soon as we can. But currently we can discuss where there's a implemented solution is good enough for at least first release, because what we did here, so we added the scope selector, and the scope selector in our case is a stock list, and the stock list currently the drop-down element which contains all the stocks to which particular product is assigned to.
That's correct. So it's actually built dynamically. So currently we have like assigned two sources, but we actually have default one. So as soon as we assign the default one source, we will have now the first one is default stock in our drop-down selection. So yeah, it has all the assigned stocks. Another one feature is we are currently not implement is confirmation model window, and we still are discussing what it would be better, like save all the stocks configurations simultaneously or just showing the model window, which will ask, do you really want to move to the another stock?
Do you have any ideas, like concerns or related with this with demonstrated functionality, Mark? Because
no, I mean, were you concerned that list will become too large or hard to find the one that they're looking for?
Mm-hmm.
It seems less likely given that they are picking a stock from that list and they're not picking a source. Because we would expect there to be fewer stocks than sources.
Yeah, that's true. But what currently worries me the most is that like changing like if merchant would like to save several configuration data for several stock items, he needs to save product several times, because currently when he applied changes for one particular stock item and change the stock selector, we were just losing this data. Potentially we can introduce maybe AJAX request which will save the data, but or dynamic rows. But what we decided that currently we have like 10 configuration options per stock, and if we will add the dynamic rows, so we can also introduce a mess, because for example, if there would be like 10 stocks, they're going to be like 10 multiplied by 10, so too many.
But we can have 10 buttons of advanced inventory.
We also decided not to introduce too many buttons with advanced inventory. So currently we decided to implement the solution which we consider the less ugly maybe. And we definitely need to sync up with guys from UI, but that's currently
Yeah, I think we need to review with them, but it makes sense. It's better than, like you said, having a button for each record or something like that. And most of the time, the merchant users will not click into advanced inventory. So if we can keep the experience on the page as clean and as few choices as possible for the majority of admin users, it's better.
Okay, good. That's good that we now need to rework a lot.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for your feedback. Is it all, Kolya, what you wanted to show us today, or is there anything else?
Well, basically, I've showed like 3 forms, 3 configuration, the fallback mechanism. Yeah, that's all I want to show. Because, well, to show a lot of different kind of configuration, it's maybe just tedious.
Mm-hmm. So actually, maybe it's not pretty clear from the presentation, but the most interesting part here is actually the fallback mechanism, because currently we are making a fallback based on the configuration, whether it's set or not. We have the next level, like stock item, stock, and the global configuration. And similar levels we have for sources. So we have the source item, source, and global. And depending whether we have configuration set on the lowest level, if not, we are making the fallback to the upper level, to the higher level. For example, if the source item configuration not set for a particular product, like backordering functionality is not set, we are making fallback to the configuration on the level of source. So actually, this gives us an ability, for example, to introduce a source which gonna be used as a drop shipper, and for this particular source, apply configuration like all the backorder functionality is enabled. And actually, this means that all the products which are assigned to this particular source inherit this configuration. So for all of this product, the backorder functionality would be enabled because they inherit this functionality, this configuration option from the source. So this gives us an opportunity to support such functionality as a dropshipping.
I believe this have to be clearly mentioned in documentation because it's totally new things, and I think it's important.
Exactly. So, and actually, like in 7 minutes, we have a dedicated meeting with Lori where we can discuss this. So, looks like this all for today. We don't have anything else to demonstrate for today.
There was one thing.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah.
I was going to say, mentioning documentation, I'll make it short and sweet, I promise, because some of this is actually going to change with the demo we just saw. So go ahead and share. If you are new, because there were some questions in Slack about where to find documentation, if you go to the MSI repo, the wiki has tons of great technical content as well as the user guide. And I have added the links to all the dev docs content, which has some great tutorials Kevin's put together. This will give you a quick overview into the product. It is very merchant specific. The dev docs content is very developer centric, but it's incredibly helpful to you to understand it. And as was just mentioned, I do have some content drafted regarding this configuration fallback, but I'm going to be reviewing that in a few minutes to see if I need to update it. And I will be, like it says here, adding a lot of examples to really help walk through it. But each of these pages has been updated to show how you can configure the different options at each of these levels, including the create sources and stock pages now have new screenshots showing a lot of this information. For example, if we scroll way down here, you'll start to see these configuration areas. Again, this is very much in progress. It's probably going to change dramatically in the next day, in fact, to make sure it's up to date with all information, including the back order section, where I'm going to walk through some better examples today of real life examples of when you want to do it globally versus at the source item level, stock item level, product, etc. But this will give everyone a really good walkthrough of what to expect, what you should see on the screens, as well as how to configure it and what those items and examples are. We've also added some information. It's kind of at a high level, but we're going to add more that's deeper of what merchants should expect in changes to inventory management overall when MSI is going to be installed and upgraded with 2.3. This is a quick list. It's kind of high level, but we'll dig deeper And all of this content will be available as beta docs when we do have another beta. But this is all available right now. If anyone has questions, feel free. Otherwise, I am good.
Thank you, Lori. Documentation definitely matter for us, and taking into account how many requests for MSI documentation we get, this is really good that we always have an answer. Like, do you have a documentation? Yeah, here it is. And so thank you very much. You're doing a great job, and looks like that's all for today. And thank you very much for your time. It was a little bit longer than we expected, but I believe it was really interesting features to be like presented today, because that was really sophisticated functionality and the sophisticated bug. So that was, for us, it was really interesting to fix and to work with that, and I hope that for you it was also interesting to watch this. Thank you very much, guys, and see you next week.
Bye.
Thank you.